Rumspringa!
Hey, Brynne, have you seen Steel Magnolias?
Oh my god, yes, I love that movie.
Jonsey, you've seen it, right?
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
You've seen Dracula, right?
Oh, I love that movie. It's so good.
Lena, you've seen it.
What do you think? Filmspringa!
Hey, Brynne, have you seen Weekend at Bernie's?
Oh my god, Weekend at Bernie's saved my life.
Jonsey, you have to have seen it.
Oh my god, no, I haven't. Of course not. You've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. It's the best.
That movie scared the out of me when I was a
You know,
kid.
did it scare the out of you? I have not seen that one, and I will be praying for all of your souls. It's your Rumspringa, Lena.
Haven't seen it.
It's showtime!
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Filmspringa, the podcast about all of your favorite movies and your sheltered friend who has never seen them. I am Tony, and I'm here with...
Brynne. I'm Brynne.
and...
Jonsey, the sheltered friend.
And Jonsey,
Yeah,
the sheltered friend. And ladies, it is a comedy week. It was what we call it
Palate cleanser.
a palate cleanser from
Yeah.
Chinatown.
Giant cheese, yeah. Even though there was
Farce.
still incest, there
There-
was assumed incest for a big portion of this.
Yes. So
film,
this week, everybody, we are watching, some say one of the funniest movies of the 80s. It is 1988 heist British American comedy, A Fish Called Wanda. That is what
Fish
we're
Called
going to
Wanda.
talk about this whole episode. Yeah, this movie was interesting watching it so many years later.
Watching it again was a trip. Yeah.
I forgot a
Yeah.
lot of stuff about this film until this
So
time
did
around.
I.
So the movie came out in 1988 and it was built as a heist comedy or a British American comedy with like I think it's perfectly cast, perfect. In my
Yes.
opinion,
Yes,
John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Kline, Michael Palin,
I think it's
Sir Michael Palin, are the main characters, and we're gonna watch the trailer so you guys
Yes.
all get kind of a feel of what the movie's about. Let's do that now.
Otto is a man of many talents.
Hey, great fish. Oh, a little squeeze of lemon, some tartar sauce.
Ken is a man of few words.
Tell him from me.
George is the man with the plan.
13 millions, my friends.
And Wanda
Do you speak Italian?
Molto pericolosa.
is the woman they love. They all set out to commit the perfect crime,
To 20 million.
To a job well done.
but it turned into something
George moved the loot?
less than perfect.
Disappointed!
So they turned to a lawyer named
Archie Leash.
Leech. George is going to tell him what the diamonds are.
with Wanda as the bait.
I want you to make love with me.
Pop. Nothing.
He's really hooked.
I thought you weren't jealous.
I'm not. I don't believe in jealousy. It's for the weak.
Come a girl as bright as you could have a brother who's so...
Don't call me stupid.
I'm really, really sorry. I apologize unreservedly.
Are you totally deranged?
You're afraid so, old chap.
John Cleese,
Will you leave immediately, please?
Jamie Lee Curtis,
Kiss me there.
Kevin Kline,
Put the other one up.
Michael Palin.
May I kiss you, Ken?
No, you can't!
A Fish Called Wanda. A smashing
Oh, dear.
comedy.
There you go. This is more. I always see this movie more as a farce
A
instead
farce
of
for sure.
instead of it being like a heist comedy type of a film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the heist is like over in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then
Everything else is the after. So it's not really a heist movie.
no.
Well, it's different from what we Americans in
Very
the
true.
aughts would call a heist movie, because like the heist does go on throughout. Like someone's trying to steal from someone who's trying to con someone. So maybe more of like a con movie, because we think
Yeah.
of a heist movie now as like Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, or the
Or like, you know,
I was going to say Snatch.
Snatched or
What
something
was
where
that
it's
other one with
British
all the
American.
minis and chilies?
the Italian Job.
The Italian
Yeah,
Job.
we're
Yeah.
thinking like fat. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Like
Gone in
Fast
60
People,
seconds.
There you go, Jonsey. Yeah.
Cars. Like we're thinking of that, and this is more of like it's a heist movie, and then it's like people conning each other, trying to one up each other, and all of that. But
good
not,
stuff.
but not. You're right. Like not the action that we would. Yeah, I don't think that like colloquially it would be a heist movie
Yeah.
today.
Wait,
But
Brynne, let everybody know kind of
Oh,
what
yes,
it's
well-
about.
Hey, okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah, because the plot's a little like here, a little bit.
Like, I mean, if you were as a farce is wont to do, it goes off in sort of wacky directions. The
Oh, very
basic
wacky.
through line of the
Mhm.
movie is Jamie Lee Curtis is an American who is in with I wouldn't call them a band of thieves because it's just two British men. She
Yeah.
brings on her brother. If you're just listening, you can't
Yeah.
see the air quotes, but you've heard them if you've watched the movie. And so they pull off a heist, which tip to tail, I could not tell you what they were heisting. It was diamonds.
It was like two
Diamonds.
little diamonds. Two
Got it.
little
No,
diamonds.
no.
All
It
right.
was all they stole all the individual packets of
Oh, that's
unset,
what that
See them. That's the
was.
thing. I
unset
have no
diamonds.
clue.
That's why they threw
Oh.
away the necklaces because those were the set diamonds and those are always harder
They
to
took
sell.
the loose
But
diamonds.
if you take the loose
Mm.
diamonds, you can sell them on the black market easier. I know this from a secret time in my life. I'm not allowed to.
I was
Very
just
cool.
gonna ask you, Jonesy,
How'd
do
you
we
know
want to revisit this time in your life or save it for another episode? Okay, Brynne,
So-
go ahead, Brynne.
So now we know from Jonesy's Secret Life that loose diamonds. And so Jamie Lee Curtis and her brother Otto, who's not her brother, it's really her lover Kevin Kline, are
For 2
gonna-
weeks.
For 2
Just
weeks.
gotta say that because that I kept yelling at the TV through the whole movie.
2
Yeah,
weeks.
what?
Yeah, she had known him 2 weeks prior to the heist.
Oh, so they're
I did not get that
new,
either.
new,
I've seen
I
this movie
didn't
several
either.
times.
I totally missed that.
Okay, so they are planning on double crossing George, the original diamond thievery head. And then it's a series of double crosses, but George has hidden the diamonds, so Jamie Lee Curtis and Otto can't steal them. This is so hard to explain.
I know.
So it's basically a heist movie in the sense that some diamonds are stolen, and they spend the rest of the movie trying to find out where the stolen diamonds are hidden. And there are different farcical. It's not like a noise is off, but it sort of is like a noise is
A
off.
little
Someone's
bit,
going in one
yeah.
door, out the other.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially in there's one scene where it's very farcical, I guess you could say, with John Cleese's character and his wife and Jamie
Yeah.
Lee Curtis and Kevin Kline in the room.
So it's
say
like
that.
it's like a Monty Python version of a farcical heist movie, and they say it's like an Ealing comedy because those were very popular comedies in Britain in like the early days of cinema. And
Can you explain to us that are the uneducated and uninformed what that means?
So an Ealing comedy.
whatever?
So the Charles Crichton, the man who directed this, actually he hadn't made a movie. This was his first movie in 2 decades. He hadn't made a movie in 20 years. John Cleese begged him to
Yeah.
write and make this movie with him, but he used to direct sort of like the black and white funny sort of heisty comedies, like these sort of farces.
Mhm.
And I can't think of what like the American equivalent to it would be. Like maybe like not a Buster Keaton, but like a Cary Grant movie. Like
Okay.
Arsenic and Old Lace, or It Happened One Night, or sort of those stylistic American
Yeah.
movies. Like the Ealing comedies were just sort of like very British comedies in the black and white days, and they had a certain style to them. So the way that this is styled is like a nouveau Ealing comedy.
Yeah.
So yes. So they sort of like played off of that, and James Crichton, the man who directed this, had directed some of the Ealing comedies. So
But
so that's what it's
wasn't
like. So
John Cleese wanted to work with Charles Crichton for a while, and so
For a
that's
long
how
time.
this film came about, because he approached. Didn't John Cleese? Didn't he write part of it, if I remember right? The film?
Yes, he wrote. It took him 5 years.
5
so
years,
he
that's right.
and James Crichton sort of wrote this together, and he kept having to beg James Crichton to write it with him.
Yeah.
And he finally, John Cleese, they would like get together and write it a little bit and they break apart. It took 5 years and $150,000 of John Cleese's own money
to get it up and going. But the film came out in 1988 and it did pretty well. I mean, box office wise, I think it's ranked as the #1 movie that took the longest to get to the #1 spot because it was released in July and didn't hit #1 till September of the same year.
Yeah,
so which is
was
unheard of for films.
But that also means it was word of mouth, which I feel like is always a better movie usually because it's not necessarily critics or advertisements. It's people going, you need to see this film.
Yeah, because opening weekend, it was only in 2 theaters. It was like a very limited release. It spent 25 weeks at the box office. And eventually, so it had an $8 million budget. Eventually, it ended up worldwide grossing over $100 million.
Wow.
Yeah, it did really well. And the critics loved it. They got really good reviews when it came out. And it was nominated for a few Academy Awards for Best Director, Best Supporting Actor with Kevin Kline, who actually won the Oscar that year for Fish Called Wanda. And which was really strange is
he won an Oscar for this film?
Yeah,
Kevin Kline won an Oscar for this.
Supporting Actor. And what was weird was that he wasn't nominated in that season for any other awards, just the Academy Award, and he won it for Best Supporting Actor. And it also was nominated for Best Original Screenplay too.
Yeah.
So it did well.
And then won an Oscar for this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's such a silly part, but like
it's over the top. His part is very over the top. But the British Academy,
that it won.
The British Academy Film Awards, they were nominated for so many, and John Cleese won for Best Actor in a Leading Role, and Michael Palin won too for Best Supporting Actor. They both won the British
I will have to
equivalent
tell
of the
you that
Oscars.
rewatching this, he was my favorite part.
Which who?
And
Michael Palin.
Yeah.
Michael Palin, yes. And the only time, so I remember like laughing so much, and we'll get it, Tony. We'll get into like when we watched it first and stuff. But the only time that I LOL'd, sorry, one sec.
I agree. Michael Palin was the part I LOL'd at the most throughout the whole entire film.
Of LOLing, somebody died watching this film because they laughed so hard.
While watching
down.
Yes.
A Belgian man.
Yeah, a Belgian man, Oli Benson.
Yeah.
He had a heart attack, but they said the heart attack was happened because he was laughing so hard at the movie that his blood pressure went up and it
honestly, that's how I want to go. Laughing,
right?
Like
laughing in an obscure British comedy.
So he literally laughed.
I don't know if it's at that necessarily, but I do want to go laughing, like laughing so hard that my heart's just like, we reached our peak. Let's go out on a high.
Right?
I wanna go just looking like this. Why? As I silently fall down a cliff.
That's what you want. That's how you want to go.
You watched way too much Dateline.
Way too much Dateline. But yeah, so the part Jamie Lee Curtis plays Wanda, a femme fatale type of character, and the part was written for her. She was the actress in mind for it, which I thought was pretty cool.
And she talks about it now, how she had like unprecedented control over the role.
Yeah.
John Cleese was like, do what you want with it. And she was like, I never experienced that before, that ability to like give input. And they said that they had originally written the part as like a cold-hearted, cold-blooded man eater with like no redeeming qualities. And she came in and totally revamped it, changed it. I said Michael Palin got her a shirt during filming that says, wait, I have an idea. Because she would interject so much and gave so much of the role was her and like her ideas and her shaping it, which is super cool.
Yeah, and in an interview she gave about the film, Jamie Lee Curtis said half of the time filming the film, they had to cut away from her a lot because Kevin Kline was just making her laugh. The whole orgasm scene, they had to cut away from her face, and she had to cover her face with the pillow because she kept laughing because of his facial reactions. Which I thought was hilarious.
I will tell you that I forgot. Okay, wait. So Tony, when was the first time you saw this movie?
Me? Oh,
yeah,
I probably saw
Let's
this probably in my teens. Like, I don't know. I had to be like 18 or 19. It was the late 90s. And I remember I saw this film because it was recommended by a friend who thought it was hilarious. It was a theater friend. Thought it was hilarious because it was farcical. And I remember watching it going, Jamie Lee Curtis in a comedy? Because at that point, I only had known her for Halloween.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, okay. But see, I had been a Monty Python fan. So John Cleese, I was totally knew who he was, and he was in this. So I was like, yes, I'm sold. I want to see it. And plus, I love Kevin Kline. Like, oh, so many of his movies. And at the time, I remember I just thought he was kind of like swarmy, sexy. I know. But the film, to me, I remember watching it for the first time and thinking it was really funny. But then now watching it now, I didn't laugh as much as I remember.
I was gonna say the only time I LOL'd, because
Yeah.
I remember thinking, sorry to cut you off, Tony. I just remember thinking this movie was so funny.
Yeah, me too.
And when I watched it last night, and the only time I LOL'd was when Michael Palin is that scene where he's trying to get out where the jewels are, where the diamonds are hidden.
Yeah.
And John Cleese is like, oh, and he tries to sing it, and then he finally writes it, and John Cleese goes to the Cathcart Hotel, and then Michael Palin goes, the Cathcart Hotel, and then he makes his face. You guys can't see it if you're listening, but he goes, hi. And that was the only time that I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking to myself, hey, this is the only time that you've like physically laughed.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I watched it the first time, back when I was like 18, 19, I just thought it was really funny and silly. I remember it being silly and kind of over the top. All the characters were extremely eccentric and they were all going at each other, but not in a horribly mean way. It was like a bunch of obsessive, narcissistic people being eccentric, doing eccentric things and trying to get at each other in these eccentric, non-realistic ways. Which I found now, watching it now, I found more interesting because you take like a character of Kevin Kline, and his character is way over the top with everything. And when I watched it this time around, it reminded me of a Tony Stark from Iron Man. Maybe because I'm watching Marvel movies right now, but I kind of got that feel. Like I was like, oh, he's kind of stuck up in, or this, what's it called? Like
he's far less smart though. Don't let
and
him
that's
hear
the
I
thing.
said that.
The one thing that gets to him through the whole movie, this guy who's like full of confidence, is don't call me stupid. And I remember, and still when I watch it this time, one of my favorite parts is when Jamie Lee Curtis's character Wanda turns to him and explains how he's stupid. And I think we have that clip.
Oh yes, please. That would be an insult to stupid people.
Yes, and she explains it.
Was it good tactics or was it stupid?
So good.
Don't call me stupid.
Watching it now.
Yeah.
Oh, right. To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people. I've known sheep that could outwit you. I've worn dresses with higher IQs, but you think you're an intellectual, don't you, ape?
Apes don't read philosophy.
Yes, they do, Otto. They just don't understand it. Now, let me correct you on a couple things, okay? Aristotle was not Belgian.
Oh.
The central message of Buddhism is not every man for himself. And the London Underground is not a political movement. Those are all mistakes, Otto. I looked them up. Now, you have just assaulted the one man who can keep you out of jail and make you rich. So what are you going to do about it, huh? What would an intellectual do? What would Plato do?
Apologize.
Pardon me?
Apologize.
What?
Apologize.
Right.
I have dress sizes smarter than you. I just love that.
I have to say, I dated
people.
that guy.
Right?
I've dated that guy.
I think we've all known that guy at some point.
Yeah.
I've dated that guy.
Yeah.
Well, so his character is John Cleese wrote the character after seeing a spread in LA Magazine over like a new age guru.
That's right. Yeah.
And they called him, I have it written down, the name is Zen Master Rama, and they called him the Yuppie Guru. And John Cleese was writing it and he saw it, and it was the tagline under the guy's picture was, Buddhism gives you the competitive edge. And he just thought that that was so funny. Such a contradiction that he like based the character off of that. Which
I mean, the film does. I was trying to watch it, like trying to remember, okay, this was in the late 80s. And for the late 80s, I can see how this could have been really funny and very different for American audiences, because films like
very
this
fresh.
weren't coming out in American audiences at the time in 88. So I think that appeal, like watching it with those kind of eyes, I really enjoyed it the second time. And there was a couple little things that I picked up on this time around. Like I was saying earlier, the scene where John Cleese's character and his wife, Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Kline, are all like hiding behind doors and people coming in. And I was like, this is like Noises Off. This is like
Very
a play.
Noises Off,
Yeah.
yes.
And I really enjoyed that part. But then there part of the film, I'm just like, okay, if you say so.
So I can't remember what this is called, but my brother and I both have it where we get easily embarrassed
Yeah.
when people are embarrassing themselves in movies. So we'll have to like when I saw Never Been Kissed, I had to leave for half of the movie.
Yeah, I know it.
Like I literally had to get up and walk out. And my brother has this too where I just cannot, it's painful. I cannot watch it.
Yeah.
And it actually hasn't happened to me. Just
Josie.
Rosie.
Oh, Rob's nickname. Go ahead.
Producer Rob, you are
Kidding, I did.
beautiful.
Sorry, producer Rob, I had to say it.
And so I forgot that this triggered that for me in this movie. Yes.
What part?
Every
Well,
character embarrasses themselves.
But like specifically like Jamie Lee Curtis, when she's in John Cleese's office and she goes, you know what I'm here for, Archie. I'm here because I want to go to bed with you. I was like, ugh. I was like so embarrassed. I was like, no.
Oh, God.
And then when she's in the wig and she's
The
like,
blonde wig.
I'm just like, I can't. I was like so embarrassed that I had to fast forward. Like I stopped and I fast forward because I was like, I can't. I was like giving
You're like,
me
I
hives.
can't
was
with
like,
her.
so
I can't.
I'm
There
so
is one
embarrassed.
part of the film that I remember laughing. It's when Archie and Wanda are at the house that they go to, not his house, but like the guest house or whatever.
Apartment or whatever.
Yeah, and they're laying in bed. And you see Calvin Klein and behind the window with the doctor's what is it, stethoscope or whatever it's called, stethoscope, listening in through the window behind them. I don't know why, but that cracked me up. I was like, this is so stupid.
That's so exhausting.
It's so stupid. And I did also
dumb.
laugh when she comes home and he's got the sword and he's like practicing his sword moves
Oh
in
yeah,
front of the mirror.
in the mirror. I'm like, and then she gets off on like speak Italian, speak French.
He's like,
well,
full on
and
Archie.
clearly any language because then
Apparently.
later it's Russian and she's drooling. Like,
Oh,
my
it reminded
God.
me of all of those type of British farce, like where it's just over the top, eccentric behavior, and it still made me chuckle a little bit, but not as much as the first time. Brynne, so when was the first time you experienced Fish Called Wanda?
So, in an actual surprise, the first time I experienced fishing with Wanda is I was
Fishing with Wanda.
Fishing
Welcome
with
to
Wanda.
another episode of
I
Fishing
was
with Wanda.
fishing with Wanda. I was 16, so I was older. I was doing theater. I
This
was
seems
doing
age appropriate.
yeah.
This time around.
For the first time ever.
So, Brynne, when did you watch Chinatown 6?
I was very young because my parents were like not into British comedy.
Yeah.
So this wasn't like a thing.
They were like,
you know,
nobody's
like-
bleeding, nobody's dying.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, this isn't drama. This isn't real. This isn't grit.
Yeah.
I was 16 in theater, and I was also doing improv, so I was deep into Monty Python.
Yeah.
And going through all the Monty Python stuff. And I was like, John Cleese, Michael Palin, gotta watch A Fish Called Wanda. And so I remember like thinking it was super funny. And at the time I was in the play Rumors by Neil Simon.
Oh, I know that play.
Not Neil. Yes, Neil Simon.
Neil Simon, right? Neil Simon.
I don't know
I
why.
knew until you asked me.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you went play.
Paul Simon. No,
not Paul Simon.
Not Paul Simon. I was doing Rumors.
Yeah.
And that play is super like farcical. And I remember being like, I am just like Jamie Lee Curtis. And yeah.
Yeah.
And like just really thinking it was like so funny. And I obviously then like I think because it was a different style than like Life of Brian.
I love Life of Brian. That's probably my favorite out of the
That's the only one I've seen.
Really?
Well, we have.
You haven't seen the Holy Grail?
No.
Oh, Brynne, we have to put that on the list.
We should do that next.
Should we?
Yeah.
Or did we already pick ours for next time? Maybe after next movie, we should do maybe that one. I think so.
Then we can do name drop John Cleese to John Cleese, and I'll get it.
That's right. It'll be the first time she gets it.
Yeah,
I've gotten it one time before.
One time.
But
so Life of Brian, you were obsessed with and doing improv.
And it was so different. And I just remember thinking it was like so adult.
Yeah.
And it was like so like that was also when the prairie dresses were coming back in when I was in high school. And so Jamie Lee Curtis was like, but I think I mentioned this on the last episode that I in my head think that I hate Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I hate her. And then I see her in a movie and I was like, why do you hate her? She's fine.
Yeah.
So I watched it and I was like, she's fine. You know?
I bet if you had a conversation with your mom about Jamie Lee Curtis, she would somehow reveal to you some kind of bias. And then you're like,
yeah,
I internalized that.
Or maybe it's because I watched this as a young woman and it embarrassed me so much that I was like, oh, I just associated it with Jamie Lee Curtis forever.
I had when I brought up this film that we were watching to a friend, and they were like, "Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis, is that the movie where she's topless and plays a prostitute?" And I'm like,
no, that's Trading Places.
Trading Places. I couldn't remember the name of it to save my life. I could see the movie in my head, but I couldn't figure out which one it was. Trading Places. That's what
I've never even heard of this film.
What?
Okay,
we'll put it on the list.
Put it on the list.
It's the whole podcast. Why are we still surprised?
I know. Why are we surprised?
Also, if it's just okay, let's put it at the bottom of the list.
No, it's funny.
It's funny. It is funny. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I don't know how to gauge anything anymore.
I know.
I am surprised by rewatching this movie, because I remember as a 16-year-old woman on the cusp of womanhood, thinking, oh my God, this is hilarious. This is so funny. And I don't know if it was like late 80s, 90s, you know, I don't know if we're in such a different time. Because part of me was like having a very visceral reaction to her kissing so many people.
Really?
And
that's because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
COVID.
I was like, oh, you just kissed this other person and now you're going to kiss this person? And I was like, COVID. I was like, contact tracing.
Oh my God, we're scarred for life after
forever.
Forever.
Our grandkids are gonna have stories about how like we won't touch things without washing our hands and like, you know, are always carrying hand sanitizer going, what?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I remember. I just remember thinking it was so funny. And then rewatching it as an adult, I still had that embarrassing thing. And I had forgotten how embarrassed that made me. And then also when Kevin Kline is like constantly making fun of his stutter, that also made me so embarrassed. Like made me so uncomfortable. I couldn't watch it.
So Michael Palin, he created a organization and fund for people with speech impediments and all that after this movie, because so many
that's
people
the least they could do.
Yeah, so many people reached out to him in the during the movie and were either offended, but his dad had a stutter, and that's where he drew all of the character from, especially the stutter was from his dad because his dad grew up that way. So I was like, oh, okay.
Also, did you know John Cleese's daughter in this movie, Portia, is John Cleese's daughter in real life?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They also, when the film made it for TV in America, they cut out the scene with the French fries up the nose because it was offensive to people with a speech impediment.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I'm curious, Brynne, because I feel the same way. Like, it didn't seem as funny this time around. Am I wrong?
You know what I didn't appreciate that now as an adult that I probably didn't get as a kid, but like the whole like my bitch of a wife deserves to get cheated on.
Yeah.
Well, I can cheat on her because she's a real bitch. And her hair's brown.
That was Tombstone. Remember?
Yeah,
they
Tombstone
said the
was
whole
the same
movie.
way.
It's
so
like
that it was you could totally feel sorry for him and feel he was justified in cheating because look how poor his life is because his wife is just not even like immoral, just like
just
human?
a real nag.
A nag. A real nag.
Like it just
brown
really
hair.
You know what it seemed like?
Nag.
Because after she
eyes.
got the necklace and a good pounding, she was a lot better person. So maybe she just needs to get laid more.
That whole next more in the breakfast scene, the whole she's like so happy, but they're like the whole thing is like he deserves to go off. It's like and we don't ever hear about what happens to his very young or adolescent daughter that he leaves behind. He's like, let's fly to South America. And in the movie, when I was watching it, I was like, what your fucking daughter, dude?
He's like, she's a teenager. She'll be fine.
Like, let's go to South America. Jamie Lee Curtis, who's probably the same age as my daughter.
Right?
I was like, what? I was like, you're a bad dude.
Bad dad.
Well, and originally this had a much darker ending.
Oh, it did. That's right.
They all
die. They all
get shot up.
Yeah. Well, they
all get run over by whatever bulldozer thingy that is. That's like
the
a rolling
steamroller.
Oh, that's so funny. That's
so
totally
funny.
where
That's
Austin
so
Powers got
Yep.
that.
Which I did not know until watching this film.
Oh yeah.
You know what time it's for?
Oh yes.
Let's start.
Name drop.
Rachel Maddow. I spend an hour with her every single day.
I once played a drinking game with
Celine Dion, Liza Minnelli. Cher, Laura Dern. I don't know her.
Who would you say is the most famous person in your phone?
my good friend Ben Affleck and his crippling addiction to back tattoos.
I have the best Lady Gaga story of all time.
Hate him, loathe her, over them, cancel it, tell me everything.
Yes, it's time for name drop. This is a part of the show. It's our version of 6 Degrees. So this week we're going to pick
John Cleese to John Cleese.
Yeah, no, we're going to pick somebody from Fish Called Wanda and an actor from our next film next week. So we're picking John Cleese, right?
You were right about that.
Cleese. Oh, it's funny in an interview, speaking of that, he says Americans pronounce his name with a strong S, Cleese, and he prefers it with Cleese.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, how they say it.
John Cleese.
Yeah.
You have to say it in a British accent.
My cousins and I say our last names differently, and they're the same. So, who knows?
Who knows? So, Brynne, who is the actor from our next movie that we're going to try to do?
The actor from our next movie is going to be Fairuza Balk.
Yes, everybody. Fairuza Balk. If you don't know who she is, look her up. But one of her biggest roles, I feel, was The Craft.
Yes,
which I love.
And I feel was Waterboy.
Waterboy, that's right.
A lot of people would agree with you on that. Yes.
Yeah. But that's what our 6 Degrees name drop is going to be, and we will revisit it at the end of the show, see if any of us got it. But now I want to get into what Jonsey thought of A Fish Called Wanda, because this is the first time you've ever seen it, right, Jonsey?
Correct. And also I have seen this VHS cover in countless video stores and stared at it because I was just like, fish, Wanda, mermaid looking thing on the cover.
Which has nothing to do with it.
The number one video rental of 1989.
Yep.
It beat out another movie that we've done on the podcast, Die Hard.
It did?
It beat out Die Hard.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And Rain Man.
Oh, Rain Man's a good movie. Have
Never
you seen
seen
that?
it.
Of course you haven't.
Damn it.
But yes, beat out Die Hard and Rain Man. But yes.
Isn't it's Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise,
Tom
right?
Cruise.
Yeah, that's right, in Rain Man. So Jonsey, this is the first time you've seen Fish Called Wanda, Fishing with Wanda.
Fishing with Wanda.
It sounds like a dating service or a dating podcast, Fishing with Wanda or something like that.
Oh, like the farmer one?
No, it sounds like an LGBTQIA Fishing with Wanda.
It does. Okay, Jonsey. So it's the first time you ever seen it. So I want to get what you would have thought of this film if you would have seen it when it came out in 88 or around that time when you were younger, and what you thought of it watching it for the first time. Like, give us your whole thing on this film.
So there's no way I would have seen it in 88. I was 6.
I'm sorry. Is there something wrong with that?
Teenager. 6. She saw Die Hard at 6. She saw
Die Hard at 10. I re-listened to the episode.
What did she see at 6? It was Chinatown. There was one other one that me and you, Jonsey, were like.
No, it wasn't Chinatown. It was
I can't remember. I didn't listen back that far, but it was something obscene.
It was still very bad.
Okay, what did you think of the film? I want to get your virgin eyes take on this.
I think if I did see this, in my teenage years, middle school years, a younger time, but obviously not when it came out, I think I would have appreciated a lot more, like you guys are talking about. And that, basically my overall thinking is this movie does not hold up. I can understand where the funny parts are, and they're Brynne said, for me, it was much more continuously. Michael Palin was the most comical character. Yeah. Every time he tried to kill the old lady and he killed another dog. And he wept and he was so heartbroken. And then when he finally succeeded, all of that, I was laughing out loud. I literally...
Kevin Kline kills his fish.
No, that was awful.
I know, but his reaction.
Awful.
But they were Jello fish. Kevin Kline actually told the director he would eat real fish, but the director said no.
He did.
Yeah, and said no. And then they made him out of Jello.
You don't have to go that method, Kevin.
I was going to say, Kevin Kline trying to be a method actor.
You don't need to go that hard.
Well, and okay, so he's not just trying to be method in eating fish, he's being method in being the douchebag American, which was his role in this film.
He was that cliche.
It's let's not go method in douchebag American. No one wants to see that.
You don't need to go that hard. No one cares.
Yeah. Dial it back. Dial it back,
he won
Kevin.
An Oscar,
Dial it back. He did. So. He did win an Oscar. Before we continue with Jonsey and Brynne, do you think his performance was Oscar worthy for this?
No, absolutely not. No. I love me some Kevin Kline.
I do too, but his body of work, there are so many other films he deserved an Oscar.
This was not good. This work was so okay. Here's my thing about farces. I have to backtrack before I finish critiquing this film.
Yeah.
I think all farce it has a place, and very rarely can it exist well outside of that place. I think it exists well in sitcoms. I think it exists well in animation. I think it exists well in on the stage in theater. I think randomly it exists well in film, but it is not something that generally plays over well in film. And also, that being said, I think we have a very clear example where even if it carried over well once at one period of time, that doesn't mean it will continue to carry over decade after decade after decade.
So you mean farces or just farces in this film?
Farces, period.
Oh, see, I disagree. Because there's a couple farces that hold up very well over time.
I'm not saying there aren't films that can do farce well. I'm just saying
they're few and far between that do
correct,
it good.
Correct. And also, I think maybe if they do go well at one point in time, I don't know if farces always carry over. A 60s bedroom farce on stage can carry over a lot better than a 60s bedroom farce playing out in the year 2020. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see that.
And so that's why I feel like there's a few places where the farce genre and all that kind of comedy, like it was made for the sitcom. It animation, like you can go all day, you know.
Brynne.
But this is
Yeah, I can see your thoughts.
I don't think this film held out. I think
if you saw this on stage, like I think this is Tony Award winning.
Agreed.
Oh, on stage, yeah.
And if you look at it, but I think at this point we were very like transitioning weirdly from what was funny on the stage, especially with British comedy and all of that. Like Kevin Kline's very much a stage actor.
Yes.
And
Very
this
much
is
so.
very much a play.
Yes.
So
this would be fantastic on stage.
But imagine us not having the movie knowledge that we have now, seeing the way that movies are acted now. It's different. Like it's much more subtle. And not saying that it hasn't always been like this, but like a big farce like this. Without the, this is the first time people have seen it. Kevin Kline is like bringing it from the stage to a movie screen, and like big and fun and cool and nice is good. We think it's cheesy now because we are used to much more subtler, even our slapstick is more subtle. It's not as loud.
That's exactly why this film doesn't hold up.
I think maybe the opposite. I think people now with film, they expect more. They want more. So the farce is way bigger. What's it called? The stakes are higher, it seems like, if there was a farce coming out now. But with this in 88, it feels like it was now watching it too subtle in a way, if that makes any sense.
What Lena is saying is Kevin Kline's acting.
Yeah.
Like his acting was big. He's
Correct.
an actor.
It was subtle in parts, and then you had Kevin Kline going so big and over the top that it's like, this isn't the same film. If everyone was as big as Kevin Kline,
but John Cleese was too in this film.
No, he was not.
Jamie Lee Curtis has an orgasm listening to Russian on a rope.
He is dancing naked in the house.
I was gonna say he isn't until the final scene when he gets caught by the people who bought his house.
That come in and bust him. I thought that was so funny.
And I'm like, aren't you the people we
They
bought the house
recognize
from?
him?
West Leicestershire Street.
Yeah. Well, at first I loved how she recognized him, and we thought it was going to be like a Jamie Lee Curtis where she's like fawning over his career, and he's like, what? And she's like, no, we bought your house from you. It's just like even more random and obscure where it's just like, no, I've seen you fully clothed.
Yeah.
Wait, so let's see. What would Mama and Papa Jonsey think of this film? Like, was this movie kept from you, or were you just not aware of it?
So other than like the cover on the VHS, in Blockbuster, I did not know anything about this film. I didn't know my parents may have watched this in Ma and Pa Jones' alone private time. I feel like they might have, because they like comedies and kind of the slapstick. Like I feel like that's where I got my enjoyment of kind of over the top. I love an over the top comedy. Both of you guys know this.
Yes,
I do know this about you.
But so they might have watched it. I think as far as like for the family, it's a farce that leans more towards the sex farce side.
Yeah.
There would have been a big problem with Jamie Lee Curtis being as loose as she was.
We never actually see her have sex with anyone.
No.
But she was loose with her kisses.
Yeah. It's loose with her kisses.
She's got loose lips and she's sinking ships, baby.
Maybe. I mean, hey, she's aiming to sink ships. She wants every ship to sink so she gets all the diamonds to herself.
So the original ending was her, and she said that her and the costume designer found these shark shoes. And they were like, these are perfect for her because she's a shark. And so the ending was originally going to be her and Archie stepping off the plane, and then they pan down on her legs and then just pan on her shark shoes so that you know in that moment that she's going to knock him on the head,
And
take
be
the
out.
diamonds for herself, and book it alone because she's out for herself. And
Right.
American audiences were like, no, we don't like women being like
Being
that.
in charge.
The winner.
Yeah.
So
she's
women
really-
can't be a winner without a man by her side. Oh my God.
That's really what they
How
said.
dare
They
you
were like,
think
we
of
don't
that.
like this. There's no romantic element. We're not into it.
Yeah.
And so they changed it.
I think I would have liked that ending better, except
so
the
too.
shark shoes.
Very
except
much
the
so
shark
now.
shoes.
Yeah.
The shark shoes sound weird, and
But see,
I'm
it
really
would've-
kind of envisioning something from Katy
Yeah.
Perry's like Super
Yes,
Bowl.
Oh
exactly.
gosh, no.
No.
But see, that's the,
Basically, I'm envisioning that on a foot, but a
Yeah.
heel.
Yeah.
see, that's the difference is now audiences now, like we're watching it, we wouldn't accept that the original ending. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're okay with it ending with Jamie Lee Curtis gets
Screwing over
all
every
the
guy
men.
she interacts
Yeah.
Now we would
We're
prefer
back
it.
in 1988. That wasn't how they did it in
Really
movies.
Correct.
No, we don't. There's no romantic element. We don't.
How
like that she's
dare
not
a
tied to these
woman
people.
escape all the men in her life and live happily ever after?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I
exactly.
think maybe that's one of the key things with this film. Why, in a way, it doesn't hold up is that factor, because you see all these films that come out with strong women leads in the last
And you
10
want
years.
it.
Yeah,
You like it. Yeah. I figured out the name drop.
you did.
Of course
Let's
you
do
did.
it. Let's do it. What is
It's
it?
so obscure. Okay.
Shocking.
So John Cleese is in Harry Potter with Daniel Radcliffe.
Wait, who was he
Daniel
in Harry
Radcliffe
Potter?
was in Trainwreck.
Uh-huh.
He plays nearly headless Nick.
Oh, that's right, Headless Nick. Okay.
Daniel Radcliffe was in Trainwreck with Bill Hader. Bill Hader was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall with Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen was in Funny People with Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler was in Waterboy with Firuza Balk.
Oh,
Seth Rogen was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
yeah, he was. Seth Rogen
the
played
star
a
of it.
No, he was not.
Shit, you're
Didn't he have a cameo?
no,
in it?
sorry, Bill Hader.
Is in Skeleton Twins. Which
You're
I love.
thinking of the guy who played Marshall on How I Met Your Mother. He was the guy in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
No, hold on.
She's gonna Google. Are you cheating? Is that
No,
Google
I'm
I
not.
hear?
I am not cheating.
Brynne,
IMDb
the secret
is on the
is
screen.
out.
Do your pairings and let me rethink this.
Okay.
All right, let's pair this. Let's see. Let's do Grace Get Me a Stinger.
Dry martini.
Oui, monsieur.
Wait. 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of quinoa lily. Shake it over ice and then add a thin slice of lemon peel.
It's drink. I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another.
Grace, give me a stinger.
Yes, it's time for Grace Give Me a Stinger. This is a part of the show where we pair a cocktail and a little bit of nibblies that you want to enjoy while you watch this film. So, Jonsey, I'm going to go to you first. What is your
Okay.
pairing for this film?
Fish and chips.
How did I know you were going to say that? I knew somebody was going to do fish and chips. It's
Except
fitting.
you-
It's fitting.
Yes, and you have to have, it's not chips with ketchup. It's chips with the mayonnaise.
The
They're
fry
kind of
sauce.
special.
Fry
Yeah.
sauce.
Yes. So fish and chips. And then the drink, I want to go.
What would be a good one?
I'm going to say, even though I don't fully know what this drink is, a gimlet.
A gimlet is isn't it like a vodka style martini?
Yeah, it's
I thought it was
vodka and, like lemon.
Lemon, that's what it is, I think. Or no,
I don't
a
know.
gimlet is with onions. It has a little bar. I don't know. We don't know
No,
what
a
we're talking about.
A gimlet is vodka and lemon.
Lemon? Okay. Vodka
Yeah.
and lemon.
Yeah. And anything lemon and fish, you know, like
Yeah,
I knew the
exactly.
lemon part of it. And I feel like, I don't know. Gimlet
See, I'm going to
sounds
go completely opposite.
British.
And I'm going to go on the high end of things and do champagne and caviar, because he walks in with the bottle of champagne and he's like, champagne. And his wife turns around and goes, champagne for who? Yeah, champagne and caviar.
Okay.
There, that's
like
my
it.
pairing.
I want both of these pairings.
Right? They sound so good right now. Oh, I'm hungry.
I am
Go ahead,
going to
Brynne.
go champagne and nigiri.
Ooh, okay, nigiri.
A little raw fish
A little
for
raw
you.
fish.
Well, champagne and raw fish. Yep.
Did you figure out 6 our name drop? No.
I missed a step. Yeah, I missed a step, but we'll get back to it later because we
Yeah,
gotta move on.
we'll revisit it if we don't do it. No, I can't talk tonight. We'll revisit it next week. But if you out there know how to get to our 6 degrees, put it in the comments below or email us at filmspringapodcast@gmail. Let us know how you
message us. You can also post on our Instagram.
Yep, do it that. If you figure out how to pair John Gleese and I can never say her name, Veruca Balk. Veruca Falk.
John Cleese.
Veruca Balk. Yes.
Veruca Salt.
Veruca, that's how I want it.
I want to feast. I want to bean feast.
To me now. Yes, so that's going to be our name drop for next week. We'll check in and see if we do that. But should we do our grades for this film? Let's do our grades. I'm curious about this. What did we do last week?
So both of you gave it an A+.
Okay.
So yeah, both Brynne and Tony.
So Brynne, what are you
gonna
give it? What are you gonna give it this week?
I'm gonna give it a B+.
Yeah.
Brynne, is this your first B?
It's my first B. It's my first time going down.
Yeah,
Really?
It's your first time going below an A, I think.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a B-.
Yeah, I took off my nostalgia goggles and I really looked at this film.
Yeah, I kind of did that this time around, and I'm like B-. One, I remember it being funnier, and I think it had to do with the times in 1988 when I saw it. It was probably the early 90s, and I just remember it being a little more out over the top and crazy and funnier. So this time around, there was stuff, and yeah, I wasn't gonna ask you guys this. Does he use a derogatory term for gay people when he's laying on the bed, or was I just hearing that? Do you
mean the F word?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
See, I was like, I can't tell if he's being, and it kind of like.
And that's another reason why I feel like this film doesn't hold up. It makes fun of a stutter throughout the entire film.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem.
It kills all of the pets, fish and dogs.
All of them.
That I thought was funny.
It kills. It was done funny, especially.
But it's funny when you see the dog and it's all splattered out and his legs are all like. I thought it was funny.
Wait! Oh my god! So I didn't tell you guys.
Yeah.
That the old lady that he's trying to kill is Razel from Willow.
Shut up! No, it's not.
Yes, I was. I am a sorceress. I'm a beautiful young woman.
By the way, for all of our listeners, there's a theme park in Holland called the Efteling that it literally looks like if someone said the Willow movie is made into a theme park, this would be that theme park. So I don't know if it's still open. It's been a few years. Corona has happened, but go.
If not, you can go on YouTube and find videos that people have taken tours of that theme park. It looks so cool.
It's so
really
trippy.
Does.
It's so great.
I want to do shrooms and just go. How fun would that be?
Once the
pandemic's over. Okay, Lena, what is your grade for this film?
So yeah, I'm sorry guys, really, the stutter, the pets, the homophobia, because they make a big joke about, Otto being like, I know how to divert kid. I'll just pretend I'm gay.
Yeah.
I don't think
trope from the 80s.
I don't think this film holds up.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs a stamp in the passport. I mean, if you're a huge John Cleese fan, you should see this movie, sure, especially since he had such a big part in it. But honestly, I'd give this movie a solid C+.
Okay, understandable.
Right. I don't think it's a bad film. I want to say that real quick. I don't think it's a bad film. I just don't think it holds up.
I think this is the first time we've all given a film a lower grade than we originally gave it.
This is the first time Brynne's gone to a B.
I know.
This is the first time I've gone down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be this one.
Yeah,
we have to say what movie we're doing.
Yeah,
next.
I think for final thoughts on the film, it's problematic, like we all agree, right?
Yes.
I think the only reason, if you're gonna watch it for, I think Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, because she's very young in this film, and she's actually really good. And John Cleese, I do enjoy him in this film.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next film for next
Actually,
week,
watch this movie for Michael Palin.
Yeah, Michael Palin's very good. And our next movie is another British American movie. It is a cult classic. I personally love this film, and I've watched it so many times when I was a kid. And as an adult, it's Return to Oz, the 1985 British American dark fantasy film, Return to Oz. So
I didn't know this was British American.
Yeah, so Jonsey's never seen this film. So, Jonsey, based on the title and the movie poster, what do you think it's about?
Well, they're returning to Oz.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with something that's a little bit closer to the book.
Okay.
Wizard of Oz, and maybe something that was a precursor to Wicked, the book, not the play.
Okay.
Where
really
like
good.
where it really kind of, the book is phenomenal.
It is really good.
Just so
where
you know, there are 20 books in the Oz series.
Yes.
I didn't know
Dead silence. It's like she just looks shocked.
My daughter is making me read all of them.
All of them?
That's awesome, though.
Until we can move on to another series. Yeah, it's great.
So you think that she's
At least she's not making you read Twilight.
Somebody's returning to Oz. That's all. That's all you know.
That's
it's
all
about.
you're gonna say?
Yes, I'm thinking it's a lot more dark and a lot more like there is no good versus evil. There's, the sides are a lot more ambiguous, is what I'm guessing.
Okay. Okay.
Dorothy's not all good, the witch is not all bad, etc.
Yeah. No. Okay.
That's my guess.
Fair assessment of the film, fair guess of the film. I'm excited for this one. I really do enjoy this film. I know Brynne does too, because we were both like, yes, Return to Oz.
This is also a movie I'm excited about watching because I've always wanted to, but didn't want to watch for no reason all by myself.
Yeah,
Tony,
I think you're gonna like it. I'm giving it an A+, and I already know I'm gonna stick to an A+ because I've recently watched this film less than a month ago.
You did?
Yes. I tell you, it's one of my favorite films. Why not? I'll watch it again. I love this film.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
What do you
I'm gonna give it a B+.
Okay.
Because I just remember it being off the rails.
It is.
And very scary.
It's a lot dark. We'll get into it next week, but it's a lot darker than The Wizard of Oz, which I love.
Also, I thought of a theme for our new dating app.
What?
Fishing with Wanda.
Fishing with Wanda, our new app.
Fishing with Wanda, when you like to dip in both ponds.
Yay. Yay, Brynne. I love that. That's hilarious. Look, our studio audience loves it too. They're clapping for that. Yay.
Cubs win.
The Cubs win. But that is it for us, everybody. That is the show. So you can follow Filmspringa on Instagram. We're Filmspringa there. You can email us at filmspringapodcast@gmail.com. Give us recommendations of movies you want to hear us review.
Please.
And if you guys figure out our name drop, send it to us. I'm very curious if you had a different way of connecting these actors. We will be here next week. So that is it for us. Make sure you subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating. Helps us out a lot. And if you're watching the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment for us below. And we will see.
And review us on podcast.
Yes. And we will see everybody next week. Bye.